Hey everybody, welcome to my vlog review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. I normally don't do vlogs or reviews of new movies, but a lot of people have been asking me what I thought of this movie, so I figured this is a good place to start. I realize I'm a little late to the party here since everybody and their grandmother's already done a review of this movie, but I didn't want to do this right away. I didn't want to do this immediately after I saw the movie. It's been about a week since I've seen it, and I really wanted to take some time to think about it and think about what I liked, what I didn't like. So now I think enough time's gone by that I can give an honest review of it. Now, before I get started, I should probably explain where I stand on all the other Star Wars movies. So, growing up, I was a huge fan of the original trilogy. I watched the movies multiple times. I had toys, I had video games, I had comics, I had novels, I had all that stuff. When I was a kid, I basically ate, slept, and breathed Star Wars. They were easily my favorite movies. And to this day, I think the original trilogy, I think they've shaped my taste in movies and just my whole, just made me become the nerd I am today more than any other movie series. Now we get to the prequels, and like a lot of other people, I was really excited when they first came out, but I've seen them a few times since then, and I'm not a big fan of them, like a lot of people. And it's just, yeah, I just don't think they're very well written. I'm not a fan of the characters. They're just, a lot of the characters are really bland and unmemorable, especially compared to the original series. I'm not a fan of the overly video gamey look of them. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the prequels at all. And I'm also kind of different from some other fans, because there are some fans, even fans that don't like the prequels, that still go, well, you know, the prequels weren't very good, most of them, but Revenge of the Sith was pretty cool. Nope, don't even like that one. I recently rewatched Red Letter Media's review of Revenge of the Sith, and that video pretty much nails how I feel about that movie. If any of you out there haven't seen the Red Letter Media reviews of the prequels, watch them. They're not only are they funny, but they're also really informative about what doesn't work about those movies. So that's where I stand on Star Wars. Love the original trilogy, even to this day. Not a fan of the prequels. So as a result, going into The Force Awakens, I went in with a combination of excitement and nervousness. You know, I really wanted it to be good. The previews looked good, but there was still some lingering doubt in there. So having finally seen it, if you really want like just a short verdict on what I thought of it, the answer is it's pretty good. It's definitely not Empire Strikes Back good, but it's pretty good. It's an entertaining sci-fi movie. There are elements of the movie I really like, but there's also some things about it that really bug me. And the more I think about them, the more they bug me. So okay, I want to get into what I like about this movie first. The first thing is that the look and even like the feel of this movie is, in my opinion, a lot closer to the original trilogy than the prequels were. With this one, they made more of an effort to use more practical effects, which helps a lot. They also used location filming, which again is a big help, because again with the prequels, too much of the movies, it's so clear that the actors are just standing in front of a screen. Like they're just walking in front of a screen and making sure they hit their marks so that they're not in the way of some computer-generated thing behind them. Whereas in this movie, in a lot of the scenes, you can tell like, oh, they actually went to on location and filmed there, and you can tell, and it helps a lot. Also, the fact that they used more practical effects helps a lot. It doesn't have that sort of video gamey, cartoony look and feel to it that the prequels did. There's still a lot of CGI, of course. And some of it, the supreme leader in the new movie, like basically the Emperor stand-in, he's computer generated, and with the design of him, I remember thinking like they could have done this with just a guy in makeup. I don't know why they decided to make him CG. So that didn't really make any sense. But for the most part, the movie looks good. And it feels much more tangible than the prequels did. So that's very good. The other thing is that the new characters introduced in this movie are all, for the most part, very likable, and they actually have some personality, which is, again, something that was really missing from the prequel series. Too many of the characters in the prequels just sort of deliver it in the same kind of bland monotone, like, but who was destroyed, the master or the apprentice? There's way too much of that. With this one, again, they actually have some personality. There's some good banter between both the new characters as well as between the new characters and the returning ones like Han Solo. I'll get into that more a bit later. So again, I like the new characters. That is a positive development, which is why it kills me that they're not in a more original story. Okay, to really talk about this movie, I'm going to go into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want it spoiled, this is your warning. Stop watching right here. Okay, all I can say is that from this point on, this movie, The Force Awakens, had better be the last movie where the climax involves a bunch of fighters looking for a weak point on a big planet-destroying laser thing. Like, yeah, spoiler alert, the big secret is that there's a new Death Star. Actually, I guess that's not even a spoiler. I think it's on one of the posters. But I remember when I saw that on the poster, I just remember thinking, oh, another Death Star, huh? You're doing that again, are you? Okay. It was already kind of redundant when you did it in Return of the Jedi, but I guess you're gonna do that again. So yeah, it's basically, they don't call it a Death Star, but it's a Death Star. It's bigger, and the new thing about it is that it can destroy more than one planet at once. But again, it's basically a Death Star. Even there's a point in the movie where Han Solo says, "So it's bigger. So what? Where's the weak point on this thing? There's always one of those." So it's almost like even the movie's going like, "Yeah, we know you've seen this before. We know we've done this before, but just bear with us here." But yeah, the climax of the movie is essentially the same as A New Hope. Now, actually, not only that, pretty much the whole movie is almost a remake of A New Hope. There's so many elements of it that are familiar, that are taken from A New Hope. It opens on a desert planet. In this case, it's Jakku, but I mean, it's Tatooine. They could have easily called it Tatooine, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Like, it's a planet composed entirely of desert. Like, it's Tatooine. The main plot involves the bad guys. In this case, it's the First Order, but they're the Empire. They're basically the Empire. They're looking for some secret document that's inside a droid. In A New Hope, it was R2-D2 with the Death Star plans. In this movie, it's BB-8 with the map to Luke Skywalker. That's the sort of the main thrust of the plot. The main protagonist is a lowly person who on the desert planet who thinks they're not special, but then they find out that they really are special and that they're gonna, save the day. In the first movie, it was Luke. In this movie, it's Rey. So many plot elements are borrowed from A New Hope. There's even a part where the characters go to this alien that Han Solo knows. I can't remember her name, but if you've seen the movie, it's the little alien with the big glasses. But there's like a part where they walk into a bar, and oh, there's all these weird-looking aliens walking around the bar. Gee, where have I seen that before? So yeah, so much of this is borrowed from A New Hope, and that really brings it down for me. And again, there's a lot to like about this movie. This movie has some really good new characters. I'll start with Rey, who's the main protagonist of the movie. She's a strong female lead, which is great. I think that's a great step in the right direction. The main complaint from people seemed to be that she's a bit of a Mary Sue. And if you don't know what that means, a Mary Sue is just any female character that's too perfect, basically, like a female character that's just good at everything. And I agree with that to a small extent. Now, a lot of the things about her, like making her a good pilot, making her able to fight, all that's good. I love that stuff. There's a great moment where they do a little subversion on the, a male character holding the female character's hand to run away, and she goes like, "Quit holding! You don't have to hold my hand." Like that. That was a great moment. I love that. But my main thing is that towards the end of the movie, she has a duel with Kylo Ren, who's the main bad guy. He's the guy in the mask who looks like Darth Vader. He's played by the guy from Girls. I can't remember his name. But they have a duel, and the whole thing is that Kylo Ren is an experienced Jedi, where she, moments before this, she just discovered that she has the Force, and she's never picked up a lightsaber before. And initially, Kylo Ren is sort of beating her, but then once she sort of taps into the Force, she completely kicks his ass. Now, my main problem with this is that, like I said, she's not experienced enough. If you want to contrast this to Empire Strikes Back, even though people make it clear that Luke has a lot of potential, he's very strong with the Force, when he goes up against Darth Vader at the end, Darth Vader says, the Force is strong with you, but you're not a Jedi yet, and it becomes very clear that he just doesn't have the experience or the training to take on a guy like Darth Vader, and as a result, Darth Vader kicks his ass. In this movie, she completely dominates Kylo Ren. Again, Kylo Ren's supposedly an experienced Jedi. She's never even picked up a lightsaber before, and just completely dominates him in the end. So going forward, when she actually does get some training and experience, how is Kylo Ren supposed to be any threat to her? You see what I'm saying here? Like, I understand, making her a strong female lead, and she should have definitely held her own in the battle, but I think it would have been better if they made it clear that, okay, you've got a lot of potential, but you don't have the experience yet. You don't have the training. You're just not ready yet. And make it so that at this point in the series, she's a little in over her head. That was the only thing about her that I thought was a little Mary Sue-ish. The other thing I hope that they don't do going forward is that I hope that they don't. I hope that the filmmakers aren't too afraid to give Rey some flaws or let her show some vulnerability. Because even if a character is really good at a lot of things, you still can't make them perfect. A character that has no flaws and doesn't show any vulnerability is going to be boring. So I'm really hoping they don't do that. But other than that, I liked her. I liked the fact that, again, good pilot, the fact that she was able to hold her own in the fights, that is all great. That is all a step in the right direction. Another thing is that the humor in this movie is done really well. There's quite a bit of it, but it's not overdone, I thought, and there's no humor of like, a CGI pink fish rabbit thingy stepping in poop, which is a big a big improvement for this series at this point. That's all well done. And again, there's so many elements of this movie I like, but it's just I just can't get over the fact that the movie's so similar to A New Hope. If they had just put these characters in an original storyline, I think I would have loved this movie, but watching it, so much of it seems so familiar to me. And maybe it's because, I'm such a big fan of the original movies and I've seen all of them so many times. Maybe they were trying to go for new fans, but the only point in this movie where I said to myself, I've never seen that before, is at the beginning where Kylo Ren stops the blaster bolt. That was the one point where I'm like, oh, that's cool. I haven't seen that before. The rest of it seemed really, really familiar, and that really drags the movie down for me. Here's another big spoiler. Han Solo dies in the movie. It turns out that Kylo Ren, the main bad guy, he is Han Solo and Leia's son. Again, something that's kind of similar to the older movies. But yeah, and Kylo Ren kills Han Solo. Now the fact that Han Solo dies, I didn't mind. I've heard that Han Solo was originally supposed to die at the end of Return of the Jedi, and again, I wouldn't have minded if they had done that there. If they gave Han like a heroic sacrifice, I think that could have been really powerful. So I don't have a problem with Han Solo dying in this movie, both for the fact that, one, you have to make the villain seem threatening, and also just because you have to, because the older characters are getting so old at this point, you kind of got to phase them out and make room for the new characters. The one thing I didn't like was that I think they could have spent a little more on the emotional impact of it. There's one part where after he dies, you see Leia kind of going like, and then that's it. That's basically the end of it. I don't know if the other characters even really comment on it at all. They make it a big emotional thing in the moment, but there didn't seem to be much aftermath to it. They didn't really dwell on the fact that holy shit, Han Solo, this legendary hero who fought for the rebellion before, is gone now. So that's one thing I think they could have done. But as far as like just because I know some fans are pissed off that they just killed Han Solo in the first place. I don't have a problem with killing off Han Solo. I just think they could have handled the emotional aftermath of that moment a little better. So, yeah, I know it. I know it, at this point it seems like I'm kind of shitting on this movie a lot. Again, I did like it. It is. I would say that it's roughly on par with the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. It's a fast-paced, entertaining sci-fi movie. It's got good action sequences. There's some nice, funny moments that are, there's a lot of them, but they don't go too overboard with them. The new characters are likable. It's just, please, for the love of God, next time put them in an original plot line. If the movie after this begins on an ice planet and they're fighting like big walking things, I'm gonna be like, all right, come on, guys, like you're not even trying anymore. So yeah, it's in my opinion, it's definitely a step up from the prequels. It does a lot of things right. They've got a good foundation to continue to continue on from this point, but please, please be more original with the plot line next time. That's all I'm asking. If you do that, I think the next one will be great. So, yeah, I think that about touches upon pretty much everything what I liked and didn't like about this new movie. Again, just let me know whether you agree or disagree. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you in 2016.